So guys, today I'm here with a video on the third iteration Scout Rifle, the brand new Scout Rifle within the Season Pass for the Edge of Fate. Today we're going to be going over what this weapon does, how you can get the brand new Catalyst, and a whole lot more, because there's a lot to talk about with this particular weapon. So let's first go over how you can get your hands on this weapon. First things first, if you head over to your rewards pass here, if you own the Edge of Fate expansion, you should be able to claim this weapon at level 1, so immediately upon logging in. But if you do not own the Edge of Fate and are for some reason a free-to-play player, you will need to get to rank 70 before you are able to claim this Scout Rifle. Now, for what this thing actually does, comes with two main traits, those being Triplanar Mass Driver, as well as Amalgamation Rounds. Triplanar says that this weapon fires a spread of void projectiles and aiming down sights narrows the spread. What that actually looks like here, if you shoot at a wall, you can see that it's kind of like a shotgun triangle spread almost. So very interesting way that Scout Rifle shoots. But if we go over to the next perk, Amalgamation Rounds, says that aiming down sights for a short period without firing compresses the spread into a single high-density projectile. Damaging a target with this shot marks them, and this weapon deals additional damage to marked targets. Defeating a marked target or landing a precision final blow with an Amalgamation Round grants invisibility and true sight. So, first off, the spread, like I showed before, shoots in the spread, but I'm aiming down sights for a short time and waiting for that little flash to go off, will proc Amalgamation Rounds, and it will shoot a singular high-powered shot. And if you get a headshot with that, you gain invisibility and true sight, which allows you to see enemies through walls, which, just by default, is a very, very strong thing to have on an exotic Scout Rifle. Void invisibility plus true sight, just by default, is absolutely insane. But the Catalyst goes even further, with it being able to now weaken with Amalgamation Rounds. This basically gives it the Demoralize trait, but it's exclusive to Amalgamation Rounds, where precision final blows with those rounds cause targets to detonate into a weakening blast. So if I'm able to group up these enemies real quick, okay, so they're kind of grouped up here, get the Amalgamation Round, shoot it, and you can see that these enemies are now weakened and you deal additional damage to them now. Continued Amalgamation Round shots, more explosions, and more weakened being spread. Very, very good. Now, in order to get the Catalyst, this is also tied to the rewards pass. You need to get all the way to rank 90, which is honestly not too bad to get if you're doing your seasonal challenges, but also doing your seasonal hub challenges as well. Over here in the portal you have your seasonal hub, and all of these just grant so much XP, it's insane. So just be doing these as well as your main seasonal challenges and you should be completely fine in getting to that rank before the reward pass ends in around 46 days as the time of this video going live. Now, by default, this weapon, void invisibility, true sight, and weaken, but we can go even crazier with this weapon if we wanted to. Say we pair it with the void subclass here, and we go for something like Echo of Instability, where defeating a target with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons. What this then allows you to do is also apply volatile with this singular weapon as well. So now you're getting void invisibility, void true sight, weaken, and also volatile rounds, which is absolutely insane. Just like so. So if you want to go even crazier, you can. I believe you can also do this with the Prismatic subclass as well. Yeah, with Facet of Bravery, where defeating targets with void grenades grants volatile to void weapons, but then defeating targets with powered melee grants unraveling rounds to your strand weapon. So if you want to do a prismatic version of this, you can, but I think the void version would work better because there's more void synergies there overall, but a prismatic version of this is possible. Now, one other thing that I wanted to check with this weapon is if you could actually apply the Void Weaken from the Catalyst alongside the damage boost of Amalgamation Rounds to a single target. Now, I couldn't easily do this in the time to make this video, so I went into the firing range and just threw a Weaken grenade on, which would provide the same benefit as the weakening effect from the Catalyst. And I found out that the Amalgamation Rounds itself gives you around a 30% damage boost, whereas the Weaken effect would give you around a 15% boost. So adding those together, if you hit a lower health bar enemy with the Amalgamation Round, spreading the Weaken to a tankier target, then tagging that tankier target who's already weakened with the Amalgamation weakening effect, in total you're going to be getting around a 45% increase in damage if both of those effects are on one target, which I believe is probably one of the highest damage boosts a singular weapon could give itself, but the circumstances that you need to be in to actually get that to work are very, very particular, so the realistic ability of you being able to do this isn't really all that high, but if you are in a situation where you can do this, it's just a nice thing to know. How do I feel about this weapon overall? Well, this weapon, if you played at the beginning of the season, was bugged where it was doing insane amounts of damage. I think it was doing like 3 times the normal amount of damage it was able to do, and during that time this weapon was incredibly broken and was very fun to use. I can say though that even after it's been fixed, so it's no longer doing those incredible amounts of damage, this weapon is still kind of decent, especially inside of higher end content. So if you're going into those conquests in particular, going into those higher level conquests, you'll actually be doing pretty well with this scout rifle, being able to just stay at the back of the map, plink people away with those amalgamation rounds, being able to deal extra damage and potentially weaken those tankier targets if weaker enemies are surrounding them. It's going to be a very easy weapon to use and a very good one to use as well, going into, once again, those higher difficulty activities. Going into easier activities though, like your day-to-day strikes and stuff like that, you're not really going to be needing to use this weapon. Any other weapon will be able to deal with enemies much quicker. Having to charge up the amalgamation rounds every single time does take a little bit of time, and it's just really not worth it compared to other weapons that will allow you to just annihilate groups of enemies much quicker. See how long it takes to charge up these amalgamation rounds shots? It's just not worth it. Now you can just like kind of hip fire this thing and just use the spread mode, but then you're not really using the weapon as it's really intended to, so you're just much better off using any other weapon, in my opinion. That said though, inside of higher difficulty content, this thing does have a place. Now comparing this weapon to something like Polaris Lance, for example, honestly, I'd probably say Polaris Lance does take the cake there, with it being able to just continuously fire shots and you not having to reload. The reload on this weapon is incredibly slow. So unlike other scouts where you reload an entire mag, this weapon has a heat gauge, so you need to go through this entire long reload animation of cooling down the weapon, which just really isn't great at all, but is like the main thing that balances out this weapon, because if it had a fast reload, being able to get out more of those amalgamation rounds shots would be kind of crazy. But generally, it's a decent weapon, so if you're interested in this thing, I'd definitely give it a shot, especially inside of higher difficulty content. But when you get into that on-level stuff or easier level stuff, probably better off using something else. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the 3rd iteration scout rifle and how you can get the catalyst for the weapon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content. But with that all said, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.